court over claims of deleted results from BVAS. Okay, drama in court over claims of deleted results from BVAS. Atiku's witness rejects INEC's demand to prove allegations with machine in open court. He can't justify claims when he was not in Abuja on election day. Tinubu is saying this. PDP ex-VP close case today, right? PDP ex-VP close their case today, all right? That's what the Leadership newspaper has, Leadership Friday. Now let's move to this Nigeria. This Nigeria says federal government's plan to increase electricity tariff, callous, says the Labour, okay? Federal government's plan to increase electricity tariff, callous, says Labour. It tells government to shelve hike to save the masses. That's what this Nigeria has. And the next is Blueprint newspaper. Tinubu to the EBRD, that's the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, Afrexim Bank president. With oil subsidy removal, we're ready for business investors. All right, okay, says we need reforms for national survival. Concerns over primary healthcare financing will be addressed. Shetima, the vice president, is saying this. Gates Foundation to spend $7 billion on interventions in 4 years. Okay. With oil subsidy removal, we're ready for business and ready for investors as well. That's what President Tinubu said in France. Kemi.
Right, and Business Day is next. The big story there is on petrol marketers and regulators seeing mergers as competition begins. Petrol marketers, regulators seeing mergers as competition begins is on Business Day. Let's look at the Nature newspaper. Macron Summit, it says, world leaders seek debt solutions and innovative funding for climate change. Of course, that summit, high-powered summit, is also being reflected in a host of, in some papers, but that's the big story on the Nature News. The Guardian is next. The lead story there is titled Flood of Fury, No Respite for Bayelsa, Kogi, as well as Rivers and 30 other states ahead of another cloud burst. Of course, it's spotlighting the 2022 floods, how much of the devastating impact it made across the country ahead of the rains of this year. That's on The Guardian. Let's look at Daily Trust, FG to end polio by December. That's according to the Vice President, Shetima. Says virus has declined in Nigeria by 84%, just as Bill Gates reiterates $7 billion aid and concrete decisions are needed. That's still on the end polio mandate. And this latest push, say, by Dangote that concrete decisions are needed, still on, the move to end polio by December, according to the Vice President. Finally is The Punch. DMO worries over low revenue as Nigeria's debt nears 81 trillion naira. Federal government's 10 trillion naira revenue cannot support fresh borrowing. That's according to the Debt Management Office. And governments to issue promissory note as judgment debt nears 3 trillion naira. That's all on The Punch, Mike.
All right, let's look at the story on the front page of the Blueprint. Tinubu is telling the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, as well as Afrexim Bank, amongst other investors, that Nigeria is ready for business. And the point there is the removal of subsidy as well as the unification of the foreign exchange rates had sent some signals across the world. We saw the IMF reacted, commending Nigeria for that. We also saw a reaction from the ECOWAS, and all of that. And some other countries individually had sent signals one way or the other, saying that they are ready to do business and they're ready to come to Nigeria. So it tells that when it comes to confidence, investor confidence, this is what it is. the issue of subsidy removal has been on an issue of debate over the years. In fact, the last decade, recall in 2012, when former President Goodluck Jonathan removed fuel subsidy. You saw the reaction,
Right.
you know. And when Buhari's government came in, they talked about removing it, but one way or the other, they couldn't remove it. But now it is gone, and we're seeing the reaction. But this has given confidence to investors who want to come to Nigeria, and that's the message that President Buhari is sounding
President
in
Tinubu.
France.
Right. And of his first foreign trip, President Tinubu is understandably big, and the riding on this, we also saw the welcome he received from President Macron and his wife, as well as the foreign minister in France. And the president's spokesperson, Dele Alaki, has also spoken about the mandate on the president to sell Nigeria to the world. And according to him, there are already positive signals from the latest, the directives, all that he has done so far since his inauguration. Just like you said, the unification of the exchange rates, the fuel subsidy removal, that according to them have also, brought about more interest. And that is exactly what this trip is about, to garner more foreign direct investment into the country. And well, everyone is hopeful that it would definitely yield the desired fruits. We all hope that it indeed would be a successful trip for the country. And we also understand that the president will be speaking later today about ensuring data protection. And I am particularly, interested about how that will go. It's said to be a session. The president will speak for 1 hour, as with other speakers at that session. And when you look at the entire, mandate of this summit, which is being hosted by the French president, how world leaders are, grouping together to generate solutions to global challenges, including climate change and other threats. I think it's a fantastic idea. But then, of course, in as much as there is a global goal, the national interests are also paramount. So it would also be interesting to see how the president will, balance it all out, But then we know where he's headed. He has spoken about where he's headed, the economy, security, and, and so many other, obvious challenges. We hope that he can also get some more support to fight the threats, to tackle the threats at home.
Yeah, I guess when it comes to support, from what we're seeing already, I think one of the papers, I think even it's the Blueprint newspaper that says the Gates Foundation to spend about $7 billion in intervention in 4 years. Recall that Bill Gates and Dangote and Aliko Dangote were in to see the president sometime on Monday, and these are all indication or indicative of the fact that the private sector will be featuring prominently in President Tinubu's government. And with that, the moment the private sector comes in, they are the ones who drive the economy. And if they do that, then there is hope that in the next months, we're going to see issues of employment. Unemployment is going to drop gradually and then eventually drastically when companies begin to come in, foreign direct investors begin to come in, not just portfolio investors, but foreign direct investors, because there'll be more companies coming to set up, their branches and set up their factories and industries here. Another thing there is, you heard the vice president talking about polio, primary health care, and so on, and working closely with Bill Gates, who has been very heavy on the health sector, trying to eradicate tropical diseases like measles, polio, Lassa fever, and all of the river blindness, and some of these diseases over the times. It tells you that Nigeria is in a good step already.
Yeah, we hope it can be sustained. We also hope it can even speed up some more tropical diseases such as malaria. I think it's such a shame that this disease is still, ravaging many parts of the country. Pregnant women, children dying needlessly. I think this is something that we should finally eradicate. It's also good, and we hope that the mandate to end polio by the year will be actualized. We know that, a few years back, due to the insurgency in the Northeast, the polio vaccines couldn't reach all the children, and as such, this pushed Nigeria a few steps back. We could have been polio-free, but on account of these challenges. But now that okay, we seem to be making some progress in that regard, and with the government's support, in addition to what it's getting from its partners, including the Bill Gates Foundation, we hope that indeed, according to him, he says the virus has declined in Nigeria. That's the vice president has declined. That the virus has declined in Nigeria by 84%. The year we're in the mid-year already, so we hope that eventually all children, we can confidently ride with the conclusion that Nigeria is indeed polio-free. I mean, this is 2023.
We've been certified free before, but before we had a setback.
Right, and what a major setback that was. But of course, it is achievable. We hope it is achievable, and not just polio, but every other, needless deaths are curbed.
And that has to do with strengthening the health sector, because the health sector, especially primary health care, where people should be able to get early remedies to some of the challenges and all of that, and then also helping to create awareness at the grassroots level, because some of these issues are more at the grassroots level. And grassroots level doesn't mean rural areas only. There's also grassroots level in the urban areas, So when people know what to do and how to do and when to do, it helps with all of those. All right, we have to